In 1876, Los Angeles became the end of the line of the Transcontinental Railroad. Thousands of men, many displaced veterans of the Civil War, began to ride the rails, stowing away in empty boxcars and jumping trains. These hobos survived by handouts from religious and charitable organizations. The place where they congregated was called Hobo Corner. At the turn of the century, First and Los Angeles Street was legendary. It was one of the toughest hangouts in the West. It became infested with alcoholics, mental illness, and violence. Society deemed these people scum and dirty pigs. These hobos survived by handouts from religious and charitable organizations. Many became alcoholics, ending up there. The social services began to evolve into social centers. During World War II and Vietnam, a lot of servicemen ended up there because it became their havens during their journeys. From the 1960s to the 1970s, 22,750 hotel rooms were closed down because they did not meet fire and safety codes. In 1975, the city put all their money into redeveloping this area. Because of this, surrounding communities were underfunded and sent their homeless to Skid Row. In the late 1970s, the EPA started closing down polluting factories, and with that, so went a lot of unskilled jobs. In Los Angeles County, Fire Station 9, which covers Skid Row, is the busiest firehouse in America, responding to 35,518 calls for service last year. There are over 2,500 nomads living on the street there. The term Skid Row derives from Seattle, Washington, where skid roads were the places where loggers slid their cut lumber to the ports for shipment. By the 1930s, the term referred to rundown areas of cities characterized by bars, brothels, and the like, originally attracted by loggers, and began to include the presence of homeless and other extremely low-income populations. In December of 2017, a federal ban on the making of lethal viruses was lifted. Sometime in late December of 2019, there was a new form of coronavirus discovered in Wuhan, China. We were told it started in a fish market by people eating bats. At first, the Chinese told us not to worry about it. Then Dr. Fauci told us there was nothing to worry about. And then the WHO told everyone not to worry because China said it wasn't contagious. In early January, Bill Gates and Barack Obama released a docu-series called Pandemic on Netflix. In late January, India announced that the coronavirus had at least 4 protein inserts from HIV, which is a sign of engineering, leading them to believe that it was an engineered bioweapon. At the same time, Charles Lieber, the head of Harvard's Chemistry and Chemical Biology, was arrested for lying about his ties to China Wuhan University of Technology. I suspect he made the virus, but others think it was made at the University of North Carolina by grants approved by the Obama administration. At the end of January, President Trump shut down all flights coming from China. Dr. Fauci predicted that 100,000 to 200,000 people in the U.S. would die of it, and thought we should never shake hands again. Late in February, one Harvard epidemiologist, Mark Lipsitz, said that 70% of the world's population would get it. Russia closed its borders with China. China went on lockdown and imposed martial law in several major cities, Wuhan being one of them. On April 10th, Dr. Fauci lowered his prediction down to 60,000 and said social distancing was working. He also said we would never shake hands again. He then said that more lives could have been saved if Trump had reacted earlier. This made Trump start a second team of experts rather than firing him. A few days later, an MIT PhD scientist named Dr. Shiva said that Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates want every person on the planet vaccinated by April 13, 2020. On April 15th, Trump defunded the WHO, which Gates owns 15% of. On April 17th, Dr. Rashid Buttar started releasing videos that said that wearing masks were counterproductive. But he also showed a video of Dr. Fauci predicting in January 2017 that there would be a surprise outbreak during the Trump presidency. In October 2019, Bill Gates sponsored Event 201. It was a simulation that showed 65 million killed by the coronavirus. People were being arrested for not wearing face masks. He explained how social distancing was absurd. He said he could get rid of the virus within 24 hours. On April 20th, hackers hacked into the WHO, Bill Gates, and the lab in Wuhan. They discovered that Dr. Fauci was funding the lab as well as Gates. On May 8th, the president of Tanzania tested the coronavirus test on a goat, a quarry bird, and a papaya fruit, and they came out positive. On May 18th, Trump started taking hydrochloroquine. It's a well-known cure that's cheap and it's been out there for decades. If a patient has COVID-19, the hospital gets $5,000. If the patient has pneumonia, they get $13,000. If they end up on a ventilator, they get $39,000. Because of this, hospitals in New York City were falsifying information. The mayor was demanding that they use ventilators, but in almost every case, the patients died. He also started sticking seniors infected with the virus into senior homes, infecting and killing thousands. They were also ordered not to revive heart patients and people with Alzheimer's. There's an amazing correlation between 5G cell towers and the areas that were hardest hit. Then around May 28th, Italian doctors disobeyed the WHO and did autopsies. They discovered that it was a bacterium and together with 5G produces inflammation and hypoxia. Once they discovered this, they gave their patients aspirin and Apronex. They sent 14,000 patients home in a single day. The WHO finally admitted that the spread of COVID-19 by asymptomatic carriers was rare. At the same time, the CDC said that the death rate was 0.4%. Yet those who have weak immune systems will fall as victims. We plan to do our best to help the nomads in Skid Row and elsewhere.